My boss, Catherine Pierce, handed me a plush turtle to humiliate me. I squeezed its squishy belly, just a little, and across the desk, I watched her flinch, her own hand flying to her stomach. Later that night, at home, I was running my hand over the toy. It had a surprisingly nice feel to it. Around midnight, my phone rang. It was her. Stop touching it, okay? Or, should I just come over right now? My name is Leo Vance. I've been grinding away at this firm for 5 years, and for every single one of them, my boss, Catherine Pierce, has had it out for me. She's been trying to push me out since day one. The reason? When I was fresh out of college, I interviewed for this position. My resume was solid, my pitch was better, and I got the job. The job her boyfriend was supposed to get. Ex-boyfriend now. But even after they broke up, she still laid all the blame at my feet. So she clawed her way up the corporate ladder, finally landing in a position right above me. I haven't been slacking off, either. I'm just one rung below her, close enough that she can't stand the sight of me, but not incompetent enough for her to have a legitimate reason to fire me. Leo, a little gift for you, she said, tossing the stuffed animal onto my desk with a smug little smile. A turtle? What's Director Pierce trying to pull? Wow, that's just cruel. My coworkers saw the whole thing, their whispers buzzing around the open plan office. I felt my jaw tighten, my face flushing with heat. Just 2 days ago, my girlfriend dumped me. She'd been cheating on me. Catherine knew. Everyone knew. She was calling me a cuckold, slow, and pathetic in front of the entire office. This wasn't a gift. It was a public shaming. Right. Great, I said, my voice tight. Thanks so much, Catherine. I'll be sure to get you something appropriate in return. I met her gaze, grabbing the turtle. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of a reaction. I knew that's what she wanted. One outburst, one unprofessional move, and she'd have all the ammunition she needed to get me canned. 5 years, and she was still holding on to that grudge. I'll be waiting, she purred, a triumphant smirk playing on her lips. Back in my apartment, I threw the plush turtle onto the couch. As insulting as it was, the damn thing was also a motivator. A bitter reminder, like a shot of cheap whiskey that burns all the way down. It was a wake-up call. Looking at its stupid, stitched-on smile, I swore to myself that my next relationship wouldn't end like this. I wouldn't be the clueless idiot again. Lost in thought, I picked the turtle up and idly ran my thumb over its shell. As my fingers brushed against the spot where its tail should be, I paused. That feels really nice. I stroked it again. The texture there was incredibly smooth, almost like a woman's skin, soft with a certain elasticity. No, that's crazy, I thought. It's a cheap stuffed animal. How can different parts of it feel so distinct? I moved my hand to the turtle's belly. It was soft too, but the texture was different from the spot on its backside. As I moved my fingers lower on its stomach, it felt disturbingly familiar, like I was tracing the curve of my girlfriend's abdomen. My ex-girlfriend. The sensation was bizarrely comforting, even more so than the real thing had been. Was this some kind of new, hyper-realistic material? I was baffled. To distract myself from the fresh pain of the breakup, I spent the whole evening mindlessly stroking the turtle. When I finally went to bed, I took it with me, holding it close. I had to admit it worked. The feeling was gentle, soothing. It almost felt like my ex was there with me. In a strange, twisted way, I was almost grateful to Catherine. Without her cruel little gift, I'd be spending the night wallowing in misery. The next morning at the office, however, Catherine looked like hell. Director Pierce, you okay? One of her usual sycophants asked with concern. Looks like you didn't get any sleep last night. She had dark circles under her eyes, her usual sharp focus replaced by a dull, vacant stare. It was the look of someone who'd been up all night, wrestling with serious insomnia. I'm fine, she snapped, stalking back to her office. What was she up to last night? I wondered under my breath. She's not getting any younger. You'd think she'd know her limits. She was a few years older than me. Her ex-boyfriend had been my age, a fresh graduate she'd promised to get a foot in the door for her. When I took his spot, it was a huge loss of face for her. That was a big part of why she hated my guts. She looked so out of it that she eventually retreated to the employee lounge to lie down. She was the boss. As long as no fires needed putting out, nobody was going to bother her. I got back to work. Around noon, I headed to the lounge to grab a coffee. Before I even reached the door, I heard a voice from inside. Stop. Stop touching me. Please, I'm begging you, just stop. I don't know who you are or how you're doing this, but please, just leave me alone. Her voice was thick with desperation, almost pleading. I froze. That was Catherine's voice. Was someone harassing her in the lounge? She was attractive, sure, but she was in her mid-30s, and this was the middle of a workday. Who would be so bold? I crept closer and peeked through the crack in the door. Catherine was lying on the couch, fast asleep. She was talking in her sleep. So, She's being groped in her dreams. A wave of dark amusement washed over me. Looks like a few years without a man has really done a number on her mental state. It suddenly made sense. No wonder her temper had gotten worse over the years. She was starved for affection, and it was twisting her into something bitter and cruel. Thinking about it, I almost felt a flicker of pity. No wonder she was so vicious when she saw me in a happy relationship, and so gleeful when it ended. Her own loneliness had made her paranoid. Quietly, I pulled out my phone and recorded the audio. Then I slipped away. That evening, the gossip started lighting up our department's private group chat. "Did you guys hear Catherine in the lounge today?" "Yeah." She was talking in her sleep, saying someone was touching her all night long. That must be why she looked so exhausted. But who was it? Probably just a dream. She's been single for years, right? Maybe the director really needs to get a boyfriend. Everyone was speculating. I stayed quiet, surprised at how quickly the story had spread. Touched all night long? I thought. Has she been single so long she's starting to hallucinate? I didn't give it much more thought. I was back at home, stroking my plush turtle, holding it as I drifted off to sleep. But deep in the night, a phone call jolted me awake. "Leo." Catherine's voice was ice cold, laced with fury. "I'm asking you one time. Is it you? Are you the one touching me?" "What? Are you insane?" I shot back, annoyed. "It's the middle of the night. I'm in my own apartment. How the hell would I be touching you? Seriously, you need to get a boyfriend. Your single life fantasies are getting out of control." I was genuinely pissed, being woken up by a crazy accusation like that. What was wrong with her? In a fit of anger, I gave the turtle's plush backside a hard squeeze. Ah! A sharp cry of pain came from the other end of the line. "My ass. Leo, are you sure it's not you? I just had a dream it was you, touching me all night, and something just grabbed my ass. Are you messing with me somehow?" she demanded. Huh. My brain short-circuited. Just now, I'd squeezed the turtle, and she'd screamed. Could it be? I looked down at the plush toy in my hands. I tentatively stroked its belly. Oh, a soft, almost shy moan came through the phone. My eyes widened. It was undeniable. This turtle, it was somehow connected to her. A sympathetic link? How was that even possible? And she was the one who gave it to me. Was this her twisted way of getting some kind of vicarious thrill, all while trying to humiliate me? This woman was playing a seriously messed up game. A wicked idea began to form in my mind. "So what if it is me?" I said, my voice dropping to a low taunt. "I'm going to keep touching you. What are you going to do about it? If you can't take it, why don't you come over and stop me?" I hung up, a strange sense of satisfaction washing over me. No wonder it felt so good to touch this thing. It was linked to Catherine Pierce herself. I couldn't resist giving the turtle a few more squeezes. After a moment of shock, Catherine would probably realize I was just messing with her. I mean, the idea of a stuffed animal having a sympathetic link to a person was completely insane. But a few minutes later, a loud banging echoed from my front door. "Who is it?" I mumbled, rubbing my eyes and glancing at the clock. 3 a.m. Who the hell would be here at this hour? "Leo, open this door." It was Catherine. Holy crap. You gotta be kidding me. I never thought she'd actually show up. I was wide awake now. I scrambled to shove the plush turtle under my bed, threw on a t-shirt, and went to the door. "What are you doing here in the middle of the night?" I asked, opening the door to find Catherine standing there. She looked exhausted, her dark circles more pronounced than ever. She was dressed simply, but her eyes held a look of pure desperation. "Please," she whispered, stepping inside. Her composure crumbled, her expression turning tragic. She looked at me, her eyes welling up with tears. "I'm begging you, to stop doing this to me." "Whoa, hey, don't do that," I said, holding my hands up. "It's 3 a.m. You come in here looking like that. Someone's going to think I did something to you." I was suddenly on high alert. You see the stories online, guys getting their lives ruined over false accusations. I couldn't risk Catherine pulling something like that on me. "If you don't think my words are sincere enough," she said, her voice trembling, "then I'll give you what you want. I'll give you all of me." Her hand went to the hem of her shirt. "Would that be enough? I even brought this. I'll do whatever you want tonight." She pulled off her top. Then she reached in her pocket, pulled out a condom, and tossed it on the table in front of me. She was a few years older than me, but she'd kept herself in incredible shape. Her body was firm, her skin smooth. It was only the exhaustion on her face that betrayed her distress. Seeing her standing there, so earnest and yet so unhinged, left me speechless. Was I really supposed to tell her that her problem was a stuffed turtle? That all she had to do was throw it away? Or was I supposed to just go along with this? The risks felt enormous. "You don't have to be so formal," I said, trying to sound casual as I picked up the condom and dropped in the trash. "I just got out of a relationship. I've still got a whole box of these things lying around. You'd know that, of course, since you were so quick to mock me for it." Her eyes widened slightly. So you don't want to use one? If you really don't, I can do that too. But I have one condition. You have to promise you'll never do that to me again. I feel like someone is touching me all night. I can't sleep. I just want to get a good night's sleep, she pleaded, biting her lip. Going without protection was risky, but she was probably in a safe part of her cycle. Worst case, there was plan B. It seemed a small price to pay to stop her from being tormented. And seeing this powerful, intimidating woman standing in my apartment, looking so vulnerable, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of sympathy. You have to be sure about this, I said, my voice serious. No accusing me of anything afterward. Sign this. I grabbed a notepad, scribbled out a quick statement of consent, signed my name, and handed it to her. You want me to sign something? She asked, her eyes flashing with anger. Do you have any idea how humiliating that is? Look, you see the stories online, I said with a sigh. A woman can change her mind halfway through, and the guy's life is over. What if we're in the middle of it, and you decide you're not into it anymore? I have to protect myself. With you, Catherine, I really have to protect myself. Oomph. She shot me a glare, but snatched the pen and signed her name. I took a picture of the note with my phone, then folded it and put it away. Only then did I turn, open my desk drawer, and take out a condom from the box of my ex, and I never finished. If I didn't find a new girlfriend soon, they'd probably expire. Let's go, I said with a faint smile. She bit her lip, her glare softening slightly, and followed me into the bedroom. The next morning, she woke up slowly. It really was you, wasn't it? She murmured, looking at me. The exhaustion was gone from her eyes, replaced by a complicated mix of resentment and a faint, rosy flush on her cheeks. After we finished, the feeling of being touched completely disappeared. I slept better than I have in years. After what had happened between us, the way she looked at me had changed. Maybe that's just how it is with women, or maybe that's just the strange power of intimacy. It wasn't me. How could I even do something like that? Am I a wizard? I said, shaking my head. I'm not that powerful. I think you were just touch-starved. You've been without a man for so long you were starting to hallucinate. Now that you've had one, the illusion is broken. A hallucination? She asked, looking doubtful. I don't believe that. Her expression hardened again. When we get to the office, you will not mention this. Between you and me. Nothing happened. She got up and started looking for her clothes, but they were a tangled mess on the floor. Do you still have any of your ex-girlfriend's clothes? She asked. Probably a few things. Let me check. I found a t-shirt and a pair of sweats and tossed them to her. She changed quickly and left without another word. After she was gone, I pulled the plush turtle out from under the bed, a strange look on my face. She's the one who gave this to me. Why would she have this feeling? Was it on purpose? Or is it something else? Something weirder. 1,000 theories raced through my mind. The whole situation was just too bizarre. Okay, I'll lay off for a while, I decided. Now that I know what it does, I should probably use it less. I sighed, placed the turtle in the back of my closet, and decided to leave it alone for the time being. When I saw Catherine at work, she was still a bit cold toward me, but the sharp, icy edge was gone. You're here, she said as I passed her office. Work hard today. Her tone was neutral, professional. But compared to the outright hostility of before, it was a night and day difference. Yeah, I will, I nodded. As I sat down at my desk, I could hear my coworkers whispering. Did you notice? The director's mood is completely different today. I know, right? She's not on edge at all. And her attitude toward Leo, it's so much better. What on earth happened? The whole office was buzzing with curiosity about Catherine's sudden transformation. Listening to them, I started to think my theory was right. Catherine really had been suffering from a long period of deprivation, and it had made her emotionally unstable. Now that she'd gotten some release, she was back to normal. It seemed like what happened between us was actually a good thing. At least it had dialed down her constant rage. During our lunch break, Catherine found me. Let's go get some coffee. I was a little surprised by the direct invitation, but I nodded and we walked out together. In the coffee shop, she got straight to the point. Ever since that night, I haven't had that feeling of being touched again, she said, staring at me intently. I know it's because of you. Tell me, how did you do it? I didn't do anything, I said, shaking my head. How could I? If I had that kind of power, I'd be using it on my celebrity crush, not my boss. It's not like I could just say, hey, it's probably related to that turtle you gave me. Really, she pressed. I don't believe you. It has to be connected. If you tell me the truth, I could be your girlfriend. She bit her lip, a shy look in her eyes. Seeing her look so flustered caught me off guard. This assertive, powerful woman was actually offering to be my girlfriend? Was one night really that transformative for her? It really was just a hallucination brought on by stress, I insisted. I don't have any special powers. And if you really want to be my girlfriend... I paused, letting her hopeful gaze meet mine. Her eyes were full of expectation. "No," I said, shaking my head. "I don't think we'd be a good match." Disappointment washed over her face. "I guess I was getting ahead of myself," she sighed. "I don't get you," I said, deciding to be blunt. "You've hated my guts for years. Why would one night change everything? Are women's feelings really that fickle? A woman like Catherine, so driven and determined, wouldn't just change on a whim. There had to be more to it." "Do you know why they say women are fickle?" she asked. "It's because women are driven by their emotions. We gravitate toward whatever satisfies our emotional needs, and we adapt quickly. And as for me, you know what the past few years have been like. I felt the change you brought to my emotional state. And it was your affection that finally let me sleep soundly for a few hours. I felt so peaceful today. I haven't felt this kind of peace in years," she said with a small smile. "I'm not a young girl anymore. My desires are more complex now. I want freedom, but I also crave the stability of family." Forget it. I'm talking too much." She shook her head, stood up, and walked out. I watched her go, hesitating for a moment, but I didn't go after her. That afternoon, she remained calm and composed. Her whole demeanor had shifted, but her attitude toward me became distant again, not cold, exactly, just strictly professional. I didn't think much of it. It was still a huge improvement over how things used to be. When I got home that night, I found myself staring at the plush turtle. It felt so nice in my hands, so comforting, a strange reminder of my ex. But knowing it was somehow linked to Catherine made everything complicated. Touching it would rob that woman of her sleep, make her feel tormented. Before, when our relationship was pure animosity, I would have squeezed and prodded it without a second thought, enjoying her misery. But now I just felt like she was pathetic. A lonely woman who built up walls of ice around herself, only to feel more isolated. But still, I thought, a sympathetic link? I've only ever read about stuff like that in some really weird sci-fi novels. I remembered one story where the main character had a psychic connection with a fountain pen, which was owned by the female lead. The whole concept had struck me as bizarre then, and now, something just as strange was happening in my own life. Could it be real? Suspicious, I opened my laptop and started Googling. I didn't find much, but it did remind me of an old TV show I'd seen, where two nerdy engineers built a machine for long-distance kissing. Is it technology? The idea took root. Advanced tech could explain it. A few sensors in the turtle would be simple enough. I could probably even rig something like that myself. The difficult part was Catherine's end. We had been intimately close the other night. I had touched every inch of her, and there was nothing out of the ordinary, no implants or sensors. That left me baffled. Was it really something supernatural? My hand drifted back to the turtle on my desk. I placed it on the belly and stroked it gently. A moment later, I grabbed a pair of scissors, determined to cut the thing open and see what was inside. Just as I was about to make the first cut, my phone rang. It was Catherine. "I'm outside your apartment," she said. "Let me in." I put the turtle back in the closet, dropped the scissors, and opened the door. "What are you doing here?" I asked, surprised to see her again. I felt again. "Just now. It's when you think about me, isn't it?" she said, her voice strained. "You think my stress created a hallucination. Well, I think maybe it's your resentment toward me that created some kind of psychic field." I really wasn't thinky. I started, but then just sighed. "Whatever. You're obsessed with this. What do you want now?" I noticed she had a suitcase with her. "I want to stay here for a while," she said. "I think being with you, it's good for me. It stops the feeling." She looked down, her cheeks flushing. "Besides, we already. I'll stay here. I'll be your woman. No strings attached. A month max. Then I'll leave." She bit her lip, then looked up at me. "I know you might not want this, but I have to tell you the real reason. I've been dry for a very long time. It's like a drought finally ending with a rainstorm. And the rain felt so good that I wanted to keep going." She was normally such a serious, composed person. Hearing her say this, her face turned bright red. It was surprisingly plausible. A woman like her was bound to have some contradictions beneath the surface. "Fine," I said. "You can stay. We'll see if we can coexist. No pressure. But you're signing a cohabitation agreement, and it will state explicitly that this is consensual." At this point, I was terrified of the legal risks. The news was full of stories about guys like me, and Catherine had once been exactly the kind of person you'd see in those headlines. "Okay," she said, signing the paper I wrote up without hesitation. With the agreement settled, I felt a little more at ease. The next few weeks were surprisingly normal. At the office, rumors started flying that Catherine and I were living together. Someone had seen us leaving my apartment, building together in my car. The fact that we were suddenly so friendly was obviously suspicious. "Leo, Are you two really? A coworker asked me one day. If I said yes, would you believe me? I countered. Honestly? No. It's just too weird, she admitted. Exactly, I said. It's impossible. The truth was, we hadn't defined our relationship. We weren't boyfriend and girlfriend. It was a temporary arrangement, a partnership of convenience. After about 2 weeks, I found myself getting used to having her around. The idea of us actually becoming a real couple didn't seem so crazy anymore. But then something happened that made me realize I was in extreme danger. One morning, while brushing my teeth, I started coughing. I spat into the sink and saw red. Blood. For someone as healthy as me, this was a massive red flag. I knew something was seriously wrong. I called in sick and went straight to the hospital. The test results hit me like a ton of bricks. I was being poisoned. It was a slow-acting toxin administered over time through my food and drink, gradually seeping into my system. And according to the doctor, the poisoning was already at a serious stage. The coughing up blood was a sign. If it continued, it could be fatal. Has someone close to you been doing this? The doctor asked, his face grim. You need to be very careful. You should probably report this to the police. Thanks, Doc. I didn't check into the hospital. It was chronic poisoning. A day or two would make a difference. Besides, I already knew exactly what Catherine was trying to do. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I carefully sealed samples of the food and water from my apartment and took them to the police station. I told an officer everything I suspected. They took it very seriously and immediately opened an investigation. Then, I went and got the plush turtle, putting it on the passenger seat of my car. I dialed Catherine's number. I went to the hospital today, I said, my voice flat. The doctor said, I've been poisoned. Poisoned, she repeated. Her voice held a flicker of panic, but she quickly suppressed it. Ow, food poisoning. Probably. I don't know the details, I said. Anyway, I have to stay here for a couple of days for observation. I won't be at work. Okay, you just stay at the hospital and rest. I'll handle things at the office, she said. I'll come see you after work. As she spoke, I suddenly drew back my fist and slammed it into the plush turtle's head. A strangled cry of pain came through the phone. What? What are you doing? Catherine yelled, her voice filled with rage and pain. Me? I'm not doing anything, I said calmly. Oh wait, I'm feeling a little stressed. I'm just taking it out on this stupid stuffed animal. That confirmed it. The link between the turtle and Catherine was real, and more importantly, she knew about it. This was all part of her plan. You, she seethed, but she didn't say anything else. If she admitted the connection, I would have it on tape as evidence against her. What about me? I said lightly. I'm just playing with a toy. I punched the turtle again, right in its gut. Please, stop. Don't do this. She finally broke, her voice pleading. Okay, we can talk. Let's just talk properly. Good, I said. Come meet me. Now. Soon, Catherine appeared in front of my car, her face pale. She was clutching her stomach, as if it still hurt. So, Catherine, I said, getting straight to the point. Is there anything you want to say? Why did you poison me? For no reason, she spat, her eyes burning with a venomous hatred. Was it because of him? I asked. 5 years, and you're still holding on to that grudge? But it wasn't my fault. I earned that job. I wasn't some legacy hire getting a handout. Was I wrong to compete for a position? She just stared at me, silent, her eyes filled with pure malice. You're a terrifying person, I said, shaking my head. But, I already went to the police. I don't know if they'll find enough evidence. But honestly, I'm not holding my breath. These past few weeks, even if I was being poisoned, I'm not going to die from it. And I don't hate you as much as you might think. A small, dark smile touched my lips. After all, for the past few weeks, you've also been at my mercy. The thought of this proud, hateful woman enduring my touch every night just to carry out her revenge plot. I almost had to admire her dedication. I will never, ever forgive you, she snarled, then turned and walked directly toward the police station to turn herself in. In the end, she was arrested for attempted murder, and I finally understood the whole twisted scheme. Consumed by hatred, she wanted to destroy me, but quietly, without a trace. So she found an insanely clever way to do it. She had volunteered for some experimental neural link project, a brain-computer interface that connected her consciousness to the plush turtle, creating the sympathetic link. Then she used that connection as a pretext to get close to me, to move in with me, and to slowly poison me day by day. It was a perfect plan. If my body hadn't been so sensitive to the toxin, if I hadn't started coughing up blood and gone to the doctor when I did, she would have gotten away with it. She would have killed me. A month later, she was out on bail. I'm pregnant, she told me. And, I said, turning my back on her. This woman, this story. I was done. I never wanted to see her again. Our story was over.